Stop that. Yeah, I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls better tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We can't go out, man, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man, so tough, but mans keep walking. Yeah, just too sharp with the prize. White girls, better tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
All right, welcome to the Sans Dan Le Batard Show once again. Game 4, people, and we bring in one new member of the team. Roy returns, but a new member of the team, Jeremy.
I'm here to make sure we get to 5 games.
No,
yes,
Jeremy.
That's
no.
exactly. You know how like the league is like the conspiracy theories. Like this needs to go the full 5 in order to get the ratings up. That's what Jeremy's
We
here.
did. We went on a hot streak.
Yeah. We won yesterday, and we're like, get Jeremy for tomorrow.
You're welcome.
It's like the ref. They send in that one ref.
He's got to call a close
I'm Scott
one.
Foster.
Way to go, Adam Silver, to try to stretch this game out. So that means you want to start with the Dodgers. Nah, we'll get to the Dodgers. We got Ja Morant gun stuff. We're going to do some Saudi wealth fund investment in sports. Charlie and I became gym bros yesterday. Amin thinks he's much cooler than me. Melo going to the Hall of Fame. Where do you want to start, Amin?
I want to talk about kind of nerd you and this
Oh,
and
I
golf.
know. Can we start with sports?
No. You asked me where I wanted to start.
I know.
You could have started anywhere. You could have started whatever sports topic you want.
So before the show, I was like, hey, what do you want to talk about? We could talk about the Suns, where Kevin Durant's going to end up next year, how the Suns had a 2-0 lead in the finals, and now this feels like the most disappointing amalgamation of talent since the Nets, which was also a Kevin Durant product. But you want to talk about how uncool I am. Knock yourself out.
What happened last night, man?
Nothing happened last night.
Look, I hit up golf. I was like, what's up, man? It's like, hey, we're grabbing dinner, and then let's grab drinks. I'm like, cool. So like around 9:30, I'm like, hey, man, what's up? What's going on? We didn't hear from you guys. I get a text back at like 10:15. I think we're going to call it a night. I'm like, at 10:15? I'm asking for a drink.
Yeah.
Hey, drink, y'all can't do one round?
Well, they sell them whether I'm there or not, so you can go ahead and get you one. However, yes, I was done. So I think it's like, so Charlie and I went and worked out yesterday, and Charlie and I we did a little different stuff because, like, we're in different situations. I feel like you're a major league night guy. I'm not anymore. I'm out of the major league night game. I'm a minor league night guy. My nights end early. So when I got to be honest with you, when I heard that Amin wanted to hang out with us, I got nervous. I was like, I'm not ready for that game. I ain't ready for that game.
You see, like, you act like I won't adjust. Like, if I'm playing basketball with little kids, I'm not out here throwing bows and, like, slapping boards and, like, shoving them out the way. I know how to play nice and, like, hey, here we go. Oh, you stole the ball from me. Ha ha. I know how to do that.
You just going to let me get some steals?
Yeah, man. Like, get your confidence up. Like, I don't know if I can do another one. Like, I'll play that role. I know who I'm playing with, man. I know my personnel.
You could have missed one or two.
Oops.
To be completely honest with you, I was done, man. Like that, I felt like I had a good night until you said we didn't have a good night. Like me, I had took my guys out for a nice dinner at a fancy restaurant. We had drinks. We looked around. I mean, that's it. We laughed. We had a good time. We ate some expensive food. Then it's 10:30, and we like, hey, we did it. We had some laughs. We did it, guys. High five. Let's go to bed. Be well rested for work in the morning.
Perfect night.
Perfect,
Didn't
right?
need one more drink. We respect the 9 a.m. hour.
You guys.
What time do you guys wake up when you stay here to do the show? What time do you have to be up? Because we all get up at like the ass crack of dawn because we have to commute in. But
Yeah,
definitely.
I mean, my commute is just walk downstairs.
Right. So you're just rolling out of bed at like 8:30.
Nah, I wake up at like 6:30.
Same.
Just because it's just,
I'm not going to a second location to drink if I'm getting up at 6:30.
Yeah. I mean, it's not an intention. I beat the alarm up normally because I set the alarm for 7 because I want to be down here by 7:30.
That guy.
Yeah.
I beat the alarm.
I don't beat the alarm at home. I beat the alarm when I'm on the road. When I'm on the road, it's easy to beat the alarm because I don't got to worry about nothing. I can go to the room and go to bed.
I famously don't use alarms. I've talked about this on the show.
You
You're
don't
only
say.
beating it when you're on the road?
Oh, yeah.
At home, terrible home record.
Only beat it on the road.
Never use an alarm.
Yeah, we've done this show before, right? Like the whole idea.
I've never heard it.
Me either. That's shocking.
Like I feel the guilt wakes me up.
Yeah, which is why
The guilt
you
wakes
have
me
to.
up.
I've done it before where I have forgotten to put on an alarm, and then the guilt wakes. The problem is, I don't get good sleep. The guilt wakes me up an hour before, and
Yeah.
I'm like, do I grab my phone to set the alarm now? But that'll wake me all the way up.
Now you're
or do I
active.
go back to sleep? And then it's like, it's just nervous sleep. It's not good sleep.
The only time guilt gets me is when I have like an early flight. If I have to catch an early flight, I'm like worried
That's
about
not
missing
guilt.
it.
That's anxiety.
Well, that's when I will wake up before my alarm. Like a normal work
Do you
day.
feel guilty about making it to flights in the
well,
morning?
no, he was just saying he was using the
Guilt,
phrase
the guilt of like,
alarm.
how dare you be asleep?
And
like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm up. And so to answer your question, 5:30 today, I was up. Like because like I'm like because I always wake up like, oh shit, it's 10:30, and no, it's 5:30, and I'm like, well, I'm up now.
It kind of sounds like you're using a typewriter even though the word processor was invented. You know that you can have, because it sounds like the sleep is not restful if you're concerned the whole time about if I'm up in time. So why don't you just set an alarm and sleep till the alarm goes off?
Well, first of all, I love that the peak of technology and advancement is the word processor for you.
It's
Put
not.
on
It
the
was
poll,
the be-
Juju. Do you know what a word processor is?
It was just the best analogy I could think of as a
Well said.
Yeah, a word processor. It was just the best analogy I could come up with. So I guess I don't understand the reason for not setting an alarm when we have.
Don't need it.
You're one of these guys.
The guilt wakes me up. Like you're like, oh, it's time to get up, start my day. I'm like, okay, the day has started. Like that's how I am. I wake up like that. Always, it's like a shock.
So you're like how Deion Sanders said like a lion don't need to stretch. You just like I don't need no assistance. You want me to warm up? I was made for this. I hop up ready to work because of guilt.
I wish I didn't have to stretch, but yes, pretty much. Like I don't sleep a lot. I sleep like maybe like 4 to 5 hours a night.
Do you take pride in this though? Because
Yeah.
I don't want to make it seem like I'm being judgmental because I'm sure there are some like weird, unnecessary things just as a man that I take pride in that's ridiculous. But this seems like a ridiculous thing where it's like I could set an alarm and sleep more comfortably and restfully and get up, but you just like to be able to walk around and say, "Hey, you know what I don't do? I don't use no alarms. That's the type of motherfucker I am."
Well, first of all, we're on air. Second of all, you're
I
making the
muffled it.
assumption. You muffled.
You sound so well rested right now. I'm not gonna lie. Like this is the most. You've had great energy all week, but right now you just sound rested.
Yep.
Sounds like you made the right choice.
Amin don't need that.
I
Amin
don't.
sounds great too.
Yeah, because I'm not. You're making the assumption that I'm tired as a result, or it makes an impact on my day. But my energy level's fine. I don't drink coffee. I don't do any of these like I need my morning matcha, or I don't do any of that stuff.
So you keep doing these voices, which
I love
suggests to
them.
me that suggests
You're a
to
nerd.
me that
Yeah.
no, not even that I'm a nerd.
matcha.
That you think that somehow this makes you like
Iron
better or cooler or
Iron
something.
Man. Iron Man, dude. Think about it. Someone who doesn't get hangovers,
Okay.
who doesn't sleep a lot, who doesn't need coffee. I am the dream. Who has never caught COVID?
No, you're impressive. Like his
Oh,
ability
what?
to do the show
What?
after a red eye is wild. He
Oh,
does it
on the
almost
reg.
every week.
On the reg, bro. They should take
he had
honestly.
COVID. He lives in Phoenix. That man got the bug. You never got it.
Never got it.
You got it.
Never got
You
it.
just ain't test.
No, I never. Let me put it this way. Obviously, if you're asymptomatic, you don't know whether you got it
Yeah.
or not. But I never had symptoms.
Yeah, I was like you. I never had the symptoms, but I had to get tested for something. It was like, oh damn,
I got tested a bunch of
Ooh, I had a
times.
vacation in the basement too. It was marvelous.
I wasn't a regular testing. It wasn't like every week I got to go in for my COVID test. But the times I tested, I always tested negative.
So I guess the thing that I wanted to circle in on is like this is one of those like stupidly masculine things where you take pride in something that's irrelevant. And
is it irrelevant?
It's the 100% irrelevant.
I don't know.
Like the idea that I don't.
Juju, put it on the poll. Would you like to never get hangovers, not need sleep, and not need coffee? Yes or no? If it's irrelevant, it'll come back 90% no, right? Maybe 80% no? if it's irrelevant. I feel like these are traits that are not irrelevant. I feel like these are traits.
You know what these are traits of?
What?
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Well, you know what?
Dominique, I think you deserve some credit here because you're
Why?
bringing out the best of Amin by not getting the drink with him last night.
Yeah. Yeah,
What,
take
the,
that.
the best of me? What are you
Yeah.
getting the best of me?
This
The best
is-
of me.
You're
is
at
nothing
100% this morning.
I'm
You
at
came
100%
in
every morning.
firing.
Nah. I think you are talented enough that you at 65, 70% are like, all right, we're cool. But I got you at 100 today. And this is a different Amin. This is a fired up Amin. He's a prepared Amin.
I got to overcome Jeremy.
Oh,
Like,
so-
we started 10 deep in the hole, right? And I got to mount this comeback.
You don't want
already.
to talk about the hottest team in the Eastern Conference, your Miami Heat?
There it is.
I'd rather talk about Shohei and the Dodgers 8-0 start
That ain't a
than
local
I really
topic.
talk about the
We in the local hour, bro.
It's a local hour.
It's a local hour. We do local things around here, like go out drinking with our boys. That's a local topic.
I did. It just ended at 10. I was out drinking
By the way,
till 10.
Don't get me started on this character, Jason Goff.
What about him?
What's he got to
He's
do?
not even here to defend himself.
Exactly. You actually had to be here. He got nothing going on.
You don't know what he got going
He's
on.
still in the church. The church is tithing to taking trips to Miami and going out to Carbone, wherever y'all went.
He is. We went to Maple and Ash,
Maple and Ash,
and
yeah.
Goff is probably doing community service this morning. He wanted to
Yeah.
rest up to help the people. He's not even here to defend himself. I do think it's funny though that you believe that this junior high ass shit is gonna make me feel embarrassed.
What junior high?
When you text us last night, it's like, y'all some nerds. You thought I was gonna be like, oh my gosh, Amin called me a nerd.
Okay,
I'm on my way.
Watch me. I will show you, Amin.
So first of all, that's exactly the voice I
Yeah,
hear
I know.
when I
You're
think of
welcome.
you. Number two, it's resigned. Like I get it. Like the night's over, and so this is me lashing out.
Oh,
This
okay.
isn't like maybe I can change their mind by appealing to their their junior high self.
Yeah, it was just like I lost, so I'm gonna go ahead and dunk on all of them. I mean, I don't know. I think if you're putting things on the poll, I don't need a poll for this. I don't need external
Coward.
validation.
Coward.
Oh no, it's not a coward. Like because I felt like what I was gonna do was not fair. The truth is,
What's that?
it's if I lay out the situation, you're a 42-year-old father of 3 with a wife, and you got to work at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Should you take your ass to bed at 10 o'clock? All respondents are yes. Like that's who I am. That's who I am.
And all of
That's
them are
cool.
nerds.
Yeah.
I'm 46. That means I put you in your place. Now what you talking about? I got 3 kids and I got twins in there. That's double the work. That's not like the single. When they add them up, that's more.
I feel like they cancel each other out.
No, it's a multiplier effect. I'm telling you, brother.
I think they keep each other busy because the age.
Yeah, busy with like
with
problems.
nonsense,
Yeah,
tomfoolery.
with tomfoolery, with shenanigans, with chicanery.
All right, so this is the local hour. I feel like we got off to a good start. We're gonna go to the bench and bring in Jeremy to see if he can hit us with some heat topics. I want the on-off numbers to not be embarrassing. Okay, so we are sending some of our starters to the bench. We're bringing Jeremy in to give us some heat stuff in the local hour. Don't blow the lead, Jeremy.
A win in Boston is always a good thing. They broke the Celtics' 9-game win streak, which was the longest in the Eastern Conference. Now the Heat have won 6 in a row, coming off losing 10 in a row, and they've won all of these by double digits. First team ever to be as bad as they were, lose 10 in a row, and then win 6 straight games by double digits. But it's the way that they're playing that is exciting. If you want to believe in a team getting to the first round and having at least a competitive series with the Cavaliers or the Celtics, which is not something you would have expected.
Is it the power of friendship?
I mean, look, I mentioned Pelle Larsson and the power of friendship in the preseason, and look who's entered the starting lineup and become one of their most important role players. That's Heat rookie second-round pick, Pelle Larsson.
Are Heat fans bothered by the fact that we had this argument yesterday that I won against Amin about tanking in the NBA? Are the Heat fans at all concerned about them moving out of an opportunity to get a franchise-changing player in Cooper Flagg?
I think an overwhelming amount of the fan base is still in that space of wishing they would just lose as much as possible and get a top draft prospect because they're sick of what they've sort of conceived as running it back over and over again, even though there's only 3 players left on the roster that were here more than a couple of years ago. there's 2 rookies in the starting lineup, and I think you could want to add to a young core, which is totally understandable. The Heat, you guys mentioned protections on draft picks yesterday as a problem. The Heat are actually in an interesting space where if they get their draft pick this year, their picks for next year and 2028 become unprotected. If they make the playoffs, those picks remain protected if things go poorly. So you can look at that as a silver lining if you're one of the fans that wanted to tank and now you make the postseason. But the inspiring part, if you're a Heat fan, is Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero are both playing some of the best basketball on the offensive end of their careers. And Hero finally overcame the adjustment from other teams and is playing like the all-star level of player that he was in the first half of the season. So it's good things to be able to take away, whether this leads to anything or not. But am I starting to feel a little delusional? Yeah, I am.
It's the spin. The washing machine's going.
Oh, gosh. Oh, the spin. I didn't know. I heard.
Sounded like something dripping. I was like, "Is it raining in here?"
There's a couple of things in there that I thought was interesting. It's interesting that there are these competing interests that, while I thought that it's only one drive is to not be good, that in this situation, the Heat have the drive to protect their picks going forward, which could be a potential future solution too, where it's like you can't have so many losing seasons in a row or you lose your draft pick.
Right.
But the other thing that pops out to me is there's some things that are simple about sports and entertainment of any variety is that that your incentives should be very clear to you. The idea that there are situations where fans want their team to lose, that sucks, man. Like, I never want to be in that situation. And that, like, you have to admit, at least, like, if you don't want to agree with me about tanking or about how that impacts the quality of the product or the TV product or even the in-game experience, you have to admit that it sucks when you are wanting your own team to lose.
So what sucks is it's widespread, right? Once upon a time, people watched their team play, and they won and they lost, and they were happy, they were sad, or whatever. And then, like, there was, like, a small group of people like me who was like, no, I'm interested in how all this works. Like, and you know, the numbers and the money and da-da-da, and, like, and so that's my origin story. I got a copy of the CBA, and I was like, I'm going to read this and understand why these trades can and can't work, right?
I feel like you should do your voiceover again, because somebody who picks up a CBA and wants to...
I'm interested in,
there we
what
go.
are the cap mechanics on how these trades get consummated? And so I learned, and then I got a career in this, and then I got out of the career doing this, and I started doing media, and I'm doing media from, like, my perspective of, like, this is the stuff that we're thinking about when we're running teams. And, like, at first it was, like, a niche thing for a lot of the nerds out there. Right. But now it's turned into, like, everybody, like, you talk about anything. They're like, well, actually, the cap round. I'm like, guys, like, it's okay to be happy about getting a player and excited for the season. Oh, I hate this. Now they're not going to, we're not going to find out whether so-and-so is going to be a thing. And, now we're going to have, like, the 8th pick instead of the 3rd. I'm like, guys, it's okay to be happy for your team to do well, as opposed to everything being a big picture conversation. I realize I'm part of the problem, though, because I taught these people how to have a big picture conversation.
I feel the same way. Like, I understand, I call it like the GMification of sports fans. Like, I understand fans being, like, interested in that, and like, I'm kind of speaking for myself too. Like, obviously I'm interested in all of the big picture ramifications. But
I'm interested in the big picture ramifications.
Am I doing a voice of myself?
There it is. God, man. Chris, you might be the MVP.
I want to know what kind of draft pick we're going to get if we lose, but
I also want to be a fan, and I want to see my team win.
Yeah,
and then
if you're a fan, you're like
also,
this.
Yeah.
It's like so into the nitty gritty sometimes, where I'm like, oh, now we're talking about, like, comp picks and, like, all. I'm like, this is it's too much. I'm not the GM. I don't need to know the dollars and cents, decimal points of how much cap space is left.
Yeah. It's true. Aprons.
It's why I'm crushed to see some fans on Twitter or Blue Sky upset about the fact that the Heat have won 6 in a row here.
What are they doing?
It's like, what are they doing? Why aren't they losing on purpose? Just lose the play-in game. And it's like, there's not only is there pride, but there's an entertainment value. Yeah. You're not excited to go into Boston and punk the Celtics to where they're pulling their starters with 6 minutes left? That's an awesome feeling that you can get in the regular season. Like, that's right there for you, even in a season that's been disappointing.
Also,
like, LeBron's on the team. There aren't Heat fans watching.
There's Jeremy and his
I'm
friends,
on
I
the
guess.
broadcast. That's devastating. It's as mean of a thing as you could have said to me.
Truth hurts.
There's also, by the way, we should point out, no Porzingis, no Drew Holiday, and also no fuck to your elbow.
No Andrew Wiggins, no Duncan Robinson.
Oh, wow, yeah. Equal.
There's contract incentives too, right? Like Spo probably gets paid like $50,000 to make the play. I don't know how much it is, but like players make money to be on an all-star team. I made a Chris. I don't know how much he gets paid. I feel like if I said $500,000, that's way too high. But $50,000 is probably too low. It's somewhere in the middle. I'm just ballparking here.
$50,000 ain't getting Spo out of the bed. He oversleeping that alarm that
How much do you think his playoff incentive bonus structure is?
I don't know, but I know $50,000.
Exactly. You don't know.
Oh,
I just threw out a number. Okay.
You're done.
No.
Pineapple butter.
Thank you, Chris.
I wasn't trying to make fun of you. I just was pointing out that $50,000 ain't it. It ain't gonna motivate him. This to get back a little bit to the tanking of it all. I think that the NBA is in a situation where they have a league that is doing incredibly well right now financially, and it's only kind of a result of the product that they're putting on the floor. And I think they have this unique opportunity to address these problems while the TV money is skyrocketing. And we all acknowledge that the TV money is not skyrocketing because the product is so much better than it was before. It's skyrocketing because the ecosystem has prioritized, because TiVo existed, and then everything's on demand, everything's a streamer, and sports, as we all know, sports is hugely valuable, and I think that it's possible that the league and its players believe that they're in better position than they actually are.
Yeah.
And I think that's, you have an opportunity, and rather than accepting that right now oil prices are high, so you're raking in the cash, you need to acknowledge that, like, hey, we're headed in a bad direction. Let's address these issues and get ready for being out there in a world where possibly sports won't be overvalued.
I've talked about this a lot, about I don't think we're headed in the right direction for several reasons. Tanking isn't one of them, though, but like of the way our game is perceived and the way we let our game be perceived by people, propagated by the ones that we entrust to sell our game, right? The biggest, noisiest, most incorrect, oftentimes, people are the ones who seem to be working for broadcast partners of the league. And I'm like, the NFL doesn't allow this. They don't let, like, what happened with LeBron and Stephen A. just go out of control and do what it does. There's a conversation that happens at a high level there where it's like, hey, man, we're doing a thing here. We protect the shield above all. And so, but to that point, I often get into this mental kind of exercise of, I know it's wrong, I know it's bad for the game, I know this isn't ultimately in best service of the game, but if the economics of live programming trumps everything else and the numbers keep going up as a result, how can I, where do I have a leg to stand to make an argument that people are going to hear and understand?
I think this is the problem in just about every business, is that the problem starts small. The issue is something small, and you don't address it until it metastasizes into something that'll hurt you because you have some level of protection. That's what leadership is, being able to make this decision now or being able to address this now. And I think part of the problem when you talk about your game is the unwillingness to accept it. You, and it's not just you, but people in basketball seem to be so defensive of the game and want to protect the game and not acknowledge the fact that there are issues. And the issues need to be addressed. So when I bring up tanking, maybe the way that I characterize it isn't perfect, but rather than you acknowledge, there is some things wrong with it, you say your response, and people like your response is, no, everyone's wrong, you just don't understand it, which is not true. It's just a perception thing.
But
no, it's not true.
That's my point. First of all, it's perfection.
Perfection?
Perfection. You'll listen to it later.
I didn't hear you. Yeah. I didn't hear you. You misspoke. Sorry.
No, that was you.
No, not me, sir.
You said perfect, and he brought it back.
Oh, okay. Got you.
Typically, that's what I'm doing. If you're like, why is he pronouncing like that? It's like, yeah, it's because you did it, right? But it's not about perfection, right? It's not about it being 100% accurate in every case. Of course, there are times where it's like, yeah, they're tanking. That's not cool, right? But what I'm saying is, in the grand scheme of the problems that face our league, this is a small one.
Okay.
This is a very small one that does not deserve the attention that we give it, because ultimately what are we talking about? Or do we really give a shit that Charlotte versus Washington was a lightly watched game? And by the way, if they played all their guys, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. You know what? Because they're bad either way. And so the reality is the real things that we have an issue with are people who are, again, I say it, the people entrusted to sell our game are doing the opposite. Whether it's they shoot too many threes, whether it's our generation is so much better than your generation, whether it's like, hey, he's a dumbass who's talking about my son, and like, hey, man, your son's garbage. Like all of that stuff, that's the stuff that does not help our sport. I think it's really telling that the biggest thing in football is a football game. And the biggest thing in basketball is who got traded, who signed where, what, when is who? Oh, we found out who got drafted 6 minutes before the pick was announced. Why is that so important? Why do we give a shit about shit that we would have discovered anyway?
Well, a huge part of it is exactly what you're talking about. When you are disincentivizing the games being important, the games become less important. I mean, this is the organizations right now. This is the problem that the NBA has to face: is that if teams can't sell success, they're selling hope, which is incentivizing for fans to want the worst draft pick, to want tanking. And Silver is in a really interesting position. They have the $76.5 billion TV deal. He has to find solutions that don't feel like gimmicks. Period. Full stop. It's the thing that Goodell has done the best of, which is being a steward of the game as a product without making it feel ultra gimmicky. And it's not an easy solution. If we all came up with it, they would just put it in.
Bam Adebayo's shooting 41% from three over his last 30 games. Guys, care about the product on the court. It's cool to see guys who had slow starts to the season, even in a season that could have been a season where they gave up, actually try to get better and improve and try to win games down the stretch, even when their team lost 10 in a row. That's a good thing for the sport. Bam Adebayo, good thing for the sport.
We are sending mixed signals because on the one hand, we're like, we should be talking about the product. And then he talks about the product. Shut up, Jeremy. So I don't know what I want.
Well, that's just because it's Jeremy.
Yeah. And it's I mean,
Chris, tell us about the Heat game last night. I want to hear your take on it.
It was so good.
Yeah. That's brilliant insight.
I mean, I got a question. Do you think there was a shiver sent down Dan's spine when Amin mentioned Stephen A. Smith in this studio, on this show, with these co-hosts, talking about that topic with that guy?
In that league.
It's 6:30 in the morning on the West Coast where Dan is.
He's been up since 3.
He's been texting for 2 hours.
I think he went back to bed and he was in a deep slumber, probably the best slumber he's had the entire trip.
Some HT?
Valerie's next to him. Everyone's feeling great. And then I said those words and he just shot up in the middle of the bed. And Valerie's like, "What's wrong, honey?" He's like, "They're talking about Stephen A. Smith and LeBron coming to steal all the economies."
Like the Rain Wade in that Gatorade commercial. Oh, it's cold sweat.
Yeah.
At some point, Charlie, I don't know if I'm putting you out there or something you don't want out there or not, but you'll forgive me. But Charlie has a game that he plays when when listening to the Dan Le Batard Show. It's called Dango, and I think that he has to. At some point, you got to let everybody in on Dango.
So I'll be making boards. Ooh. You guys can keep them.
Oh, so
I'll pass them out tomorrow.
Like bingo?
And you can keep them, and once it'll be our little impact on the show for the next couple of weeks.
Nice.
There'll be all of the Danisms, the Dan sayings, the Slam Dan.
We've been playing that for years back here. At
some point over the next couple of weeks, you'll get a Dango. It could be economies. It could be but Stugotz. Well, I don't know if that
infrastructure.
Will be happening. And once you get a Dango, yell it out. Explain what it was.
That's gangster. That was one of my favorites.
That's some gangster shit.
That one doesn't come as often as it used to.
Yeah,
there was a time
used to
when
be.
everything was gangster shit. Anytime Dominique is on, because it's always Dominique thought like these guys are titans of industry, and then he walks in and he realizes these guys are just morons, and that's the gangster shit. And like, okay,
They are morons. I just think they average.
Can I ask one question? What's HT?
That is
Halftime.
inside. Dan often after a segment will just lay on the floor, which we for years have been like maybe he's sleepy. I don't know. And then did we have his trainer on? We learned.
No, he said the name of the person who like is doing the whole diet thing, and I went on their website and there's like a whole section called horizontal time, and it's trademarked.
So we just deduced. I don't think we've actually talked to Dan about
No,
this.
we're revealing this on air for the
But
first
we just
time.
know now that when he's doing that, that's him being like, I need some HT. I need some horizontal time. I don't think he calls it HT. I call it HT.
I would think of horizontal time as something completely different.
Yeah, if somebody told me he tried to have a little HT,
Yeah.
little horizontal time, I'd say, I'm married. Right? Is that the right voice?
Well, I would think that it would be your wife. That was something your wife would say with the kids around. Don't want to be too crude, but like, hey guys, like,
Well, HT?
Dominique, can we get some HT tonight? And you're like,
No, it's apparently like a digestion thing.
yeah, well,
The kids know. I mean, we ain't hiding it. They know how they got here. Like, hey, yeah.
are you like? Is it with the house? How's the house layout? Master bedroom versus children's bedrooms.
Oh, so it's on one side. My bedroom is on one side. There's a hallway.
Got it.
All the kids on the other side.
So
Long hallway,
Yeah,
though.
there you go.
yeah. Oh yeah, the hallway.
Is there a red?
I mean, it's not that long, but it gets the job done.
Get a red light bulb on, like you put on in the hallway. If that light's on, you know.
TLC over here.
Don't come. I'm just saying, don't come wandering around. Actually, it was from a Seagal movie.
Red.
The light in the hallway was red. I'm like, why? It's like, oh,
Phobe.
well, hey, we're not going to do that here.
I would like to find out, though, what you would do, because, and maybe I'm beating this dead horse, but if you are saying that the problem is the way that the game is presented, how do you address that as an issue other than make changes to the game? If it's about not the way the game's being presented, the way the game is being discussed, and how do you disentangle the fact that what I believe the reason why these transactions are so much more important in your game, as you call it, than my game in football? Like football, there are only 17 games. Maybe they're going to 18 games. The games matter so damn much.
Sure.
And that's why we care about the games. I think that the games in basketball have been devalued by the league and its players because there's so many games. There's the load management thing. There's the tanking thing, that all these off-season things become, or these transaction things become greatly important, right?
But I think, I mean, it's not like we added games. It's not like we, like, all of a sudden people are like, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to be bad for Tim Duncan or bad for LeBron James or bad for, like, this has all existed.
Right.
Like, so what's happening isn't the game has changed, and it's what's happening is the way we talk about the game, and that circles back to, again, like, what's my responsibility in all of this, in me being someone who worked at ESPN, supposedly supposed to be someone selling the game, and I'm talking about, yeah, that's a bad move by the front office. They should have done. Chicago should have traded Pau Gasol and traded all these guys and gotten picks because their season's going nowhere. And I know from an analysis standpoint, I was right, especially when I look at what happened to the Bulls afterwards. But the reality is, man, like, if I converted however many minds into thinking like that, I've actively hurt the game. Some things aren't meant to be told, I guess.
Right. And I think that the issue I would say exists is the environment around. So you're right. A lot of these things are not new, but the environment around it has changed. And like with the 24-hour sports networks and now with all the YouTube, there's so much to fill. If the games are not as consequential as we want them to be, like if one basketball game is only equivalent to a fraction of a football game, obviously we're not going to spend the whole day talking about a fraction of a football game. But we have to fill that space with some sort of conversation. And if we go back to the 90s, only so many teams were interesting, and that's all you needed because there's only so many networks, only so much to talk about. Now we got to fill up all these networks, all these fan bases, all these YouTube podcasts and all that. That's for every little market. And the game has not evolved in a way that allows 82 games for 30 teams to matter. And so rather than do that, you know what? It's on my list of topics today. Where might Kevin Durant go next year? Because, like, that's interesting to me because you know what's not interesting right now? The Suns. I don't care about the 11th place Suns.
You know what is interesting, and speaking of transactions, since joining the Miami Heat in 24 games, Davion Mitchell is shooting 47% from three.
Yeah. And I think this also, to speak to the media stuff of it, is like the ringification of it all is like I'm guilty of this also. I have a hard time appreciating a team that's just good or a team that's just I like to watch. Like when you tell me about the Heat doing this, like they don't got no damn chance.
This is a great blind spot that I'm glad you realize, because this is like the Donovan Mitchell conversation we talked about, which is like the very good players, the all NBA players, it's either are you good enough to be a 1A on a championship team or you're not interested.
You got to explain this. Like you're doing callbacks to our show that no one knows.
Our show, we've argued about whether or not Donovan Mitchell's good for now like 3
What?
years.
Nah,
it's because when the Knicks didn't trade for Donovan Mitchell, there was the ESPN news cycle being like, New York dodged a bullet. they have more space now.
That
They
must
didn't want to
have been
give
a-
all their picks, and it's like now it's like a 65-win team, and he's done this on multiple organizations. But because there's a perception that he can't be the one on a championship team, he's not interesting to a lot of fans.
As a casual basketball fan, I still think the Celtics are better.
Yeah.
I look at the Cavs and I'm just like, Celtics.
Right, but even if the Celtics are better, I think that Charlie's calling me out in this point and saying, but the Cavs are good and fun to watch. And every time the Cavs come up in our conversations, me and Charlie, I'm like, yeah. Exactly. I hit him with that 1920s mobster sound that you just hit.
The line can't just be, are you as good as LeBron or Curry
and that's my
or
fault.
Giannis?
Well, so let me ask you this question. Why do you think in football you guys don't have this phenomenon, which is, man, if Joe Montana played today, he would have had 17 million touchdowns and 800 receiving yards or whatever, or vice versa. Man, if Patrick Mahomes played back in the 70s, man, he would have had like 17 million yards or whatever. Why don't y'all ever have those stupid-ass conversations that seem to have our sport by a chokehold?
Because CTE assures that they don't even remember that they played.
That's a good point.
I feel like football has plenty of stupid debates.
Yeah, we do have plenty of debates. I was just joking.
What is the stupid debate that y'all have?
I mean, all of them.
Yeah.
No, but because
Josh Allen versus Lamar Jackson,
But
which has been going on for years.
But
He's talking about the cross
Generational,
debate.
yeah.
What? There it is. Dango. Across generations. But no, but that's my point. It's like you can have a Josh Allen versus Lamar Jackson. You know how you settle it? When fucking Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson play against each other.
That's how they
settle it by fucking.
When
Are you tired of waiting on those 3 dots every time you text?
Hello, Casanova the Ghetto speaking. Hello? Still there?
Only to get ghosted when you're just trying to reach out? Well, we've got a man who loves a long phone call.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Not only that, he hobnobs with celebrities.
Not now, LeBron.
But he's always got time for you.
Yes, Sirski. Hello? What do you need, my friend? My friend? What do you need, my friend? Hot gossip. Do you want to talk life? Do you need some advice? You want to talk basketball? Relationship advice? Say it with your chest, or get it off of your chest.
You can get all that. All you need to do is call Juju now. Call Juju now at 650-585-8669, which spells Juju now. 650. Juju now. If you're in New Hampshire, call Juju now. In Minneapolis, call Juju now. On a plane, call Juju now. 650 Juju now. That's the number. Call now.
Call with your questions. Call with your takes. You want to phone a friend? Well, guess what? I can be that friend. Hello? Hello? What are you waiting for, man? What are you waiting for, woman? What are you waiting for, family dog? Call right now.
The pitch clock is back this week after a really incredible and interesting first week of Major League Baseball. Before we dive into everything that is the 2025 MLB season, we will play trivia as always. We're talking war. What is it good for? It's good for trivia. That's an old reference. Don't know why I made it, but it'll be me, Chris Cody, Mike Schur, featuring both on our trivia this week and as our MLB expert. We'll dive into both the Yankees and the Red Sox and whether or not he'll have rational takes on either extreme for both teams. We'll also see if there are any takes of his from before the season that have already aged well or already aged poorly. All of that coming up on the pitch clock. Listen to it, watch it. You get it on YouTube. You get it in your Apple feeds. Should be on Thursday. Enjoy.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Oh, yeah.
You can catch Pitch Clock later. Pitch Clock later with Jeremy if you want to. But right now, we got my man, MVP of the last time I did a week stint down here, David Sampson. What's up, David? How are you, buddy?
I am bursting at the seams right now. I'm drinking tea because I can't swallow exactly, but I'm watching the stock market plunge.
Whoa.
I'm watching tariffs increase. I'm watching companies panic. I'm watching Mike Schur as the baseball expert of Meadowlark. Are you guys kidding me, Jeremy? Seriously.
I do have a question, though. So today we start the show with you talking about how I guess your throat hurts or something. Oh. Yesterday you start the show. Do you remember what you said in introducing yourself yesterday? You said something about your bottom being clean.
My bottom is fresh.
What does that mean? You took a shower?
Today's bursting at the seams.
So at the end of, I'll tell you, you know, Dominique, I have no secrets from you. I do Nothing Personal live from 8 to 8:50 a.m. And during the course of the show, I build up sweat because I'm sitting and talking. So what I do in between shows is I freshen up.
All right, David. So the Dodgers are off to an 8-0 start, and Shohei hit a walk-off last night. What about the Dodgers is so – yeah, you are so strange. What about the Dodgers has got you fired up right now, buddy?
I'm fired up that their fans are so ridiculous that they waited online for a bobblehead that was being given away to all fans in attendance. What happened there? Why do you have to wait in line?
Why do you hate fans? That's awesome. Like, they're excited. They're excited.
What? But do they have that much time on their hands that they're happy to stand in line? You know, listen, if you're the Marlins and you only give away 5,000 bobbleheads, because that's the most sponsorship you can get, and you know you're going to have a turnstile of 10,000, that means 5,000 people aren't going to get it. And here's a funny little side note. We don't actually give away all 5,000. Right. We keep a pallet for ourselves and our employees and the player, and to give away if there's customer complaints, but nobody ever counts that. But if you give to every fan, why wait online?
So you're mad that fans are actually coming to the stadium on time. This is a shock to
He
you.
just can't fathom it.
It's amazing.
They're not on time. They were early.
Okay.
And they were doing it because the Dodgers previously, there were not enough Ohtani bobbleheads for everyone. And the Japanese sponsors said, we don't want unhappy customers. We want to pay for bobbleheads for everyone. Don't you think it should have been communicated that you don't need to wait online?
I think that you, like sometimes something happens and then people have a genuine reaction to the thing that's happening. And that reaction could be positive or negative. I believe that you wake up in search of things to be mad about. They are so good. There's a baseball team that is so good that has a player who's so popular that the fans show up early and wait in line. And somehow I give you an opportunity to talk about how awesome this team is, how they're 8-0 and they could possibly surpass 13-0 for the first time since, I guess, 2023, which would be incredible.
What does that matter?
No, it's a. What do you mean? What does it matter?
No, if you're going to talk Dodgers 8-0, you should be saying to yourself, can they catch Seattle? That's really the intrigue. And the fact is they only have a half-game lead on the Padres, or that the NL West has only lost 3 games outside of the Rockies, who don't count. What a tough division. What an exciting division. But how despondent would you be to be 8-0 and only have a half-game lead? It really is something. But can a team catch 116 wins when their over-under on DraftKings was 103.5? Is there a way to check what the current over-under is on DraftKings?
Yeah, it's called.
Does the
going to
win
DraftKings
total
Sportsbook.
change? Obviously, when you're 8-0, I assume the win total for the season changes. I wonder if it's reached 116 yet.
But don't you think it's exciting and interesting to have some sort of chase, something to be excited about? You just said that this team should be despondent. This is a case in point. They're 8-0, and you said, how despondent would you be? You're the only person on earth, David, who would somehow wake up having never lost a game with your giant star pitcher/slugger hit a walk-off home run, first pitch, walked out there. That was some cold shit. And you somehow are like, they should be despondent. I don't get you, David, man. You just want to be angry. Be happy.
I'm not happy with what's going on, but I'm so happy that we can be distracted by doing the show and not watching what's happening in the markets right now and the reality of what the tariffs mean to the sports world. It's a big story. And obviously we talk about companies and cars and manufacturers. These tariffs that were imposed actually impact sports and sports teams in ways as well, like bobbleheads. Bobbleheads just got more expensive, I promise you that, because they're not made in the US of A.
What?
So, oh, no, they are not. They get on big ships, and they come across the water, and then you have to get them through customs, and then they're in big pallets that get delivered, 50,000 of them to Dodger Stadium. The size of those pallets, people, it's incredible when they get delivered and how you have to store them before you give them away. And then the forklifts you need to bring them to the different gates. It's a whole thing that happens.
He's legitimately excited about this part of it. Not about the Dodgers start, but just about like the process of the pallets making their way from Long Beach up to Chavez Ravine.
You are like a bomb-sniffing dog for uninteresting. Like, I lay out the most interesting possible topic, and you just, let me find the part that can bore them. Let's talk about tariffs and pallets of bobbleheads.
Let me re-angle. This is a team that should be despondent, right? Which is the Athletics of God knows what city. That they're playing in Sacramento.
You're not allowed to say.
They're not allowed to say what city. It's just the Athletics, right?
It's just the Athletics.
So the Athletics, who are playing in Sacramento but are not the Sacramento Athletics, playing in a minor league stadium that seats 14,000. They couldn't even sell that out for opening day.
Well, that includes 3,000 like standing room down the line. So they did sell out all the actual seats, but because it's a AAA stadium, there's a bunch of places you can go to engage with the game, but not actually have a seat, which doesn't work well when it's 100 degrees outside in the middle of summer. But I think what the Aths are really despondent about is the fact that will they be in Sacramento 3 years or 4 years? What's going on in Vegas? Can they get that ballpark built on time? Budgets now are a nightmare. Think about this with building new stadiums at the moment or even refurbishing ones. all the increased expense of metals and materials, that flows down to a budget for these new stadiums and arenas, and it's going to have quite an impact on pricing. And the public doesn't pay the overruns, the owners do, which is why owners are saying, oh, I'm not so sure I want to build this ballpark without more public money.
But then you're stuck in this weird situation. And I have to imagine that the footprint of that facility, David, does not generate money in a way that a major league stadium does, even an outdated major league stadium like the one that they left in Oakland.
Are you talking about in Sacramento or
Yes,
are you talking about
Sacramento.
in Vegas?
I'm talking about Sacramento.
So both. That's the interesting part. Right now, teams are looking to build villages like St. Louis did, like Atlanta did, like we wanted to in Miami and it didn't work. You want to get that ancillary revenue.
Yeah.
But don't forget the deal with Vegas is only for 9 acres, which, by the way, isn't even big enough to have a ballpark.
That's right, because
would
it's
be-
right there at the corner of Tropicana and the Las Vegas Boulevard.
Tropicana. It's right down there.
Yeah.
There's no room.
Yeah, it's
and
small.
so all of the ancillary development goes to the going bankrupt Bally's company, not to John Fisher and the AFTs. So the whole deal is problematic in that regard. And for Sacramento, how do you make an investment when you're in a temporary city? Are you going to build a village around a AAA park? And then when the village is open and ready for business, you're already gone from Sacramento? That doesn't make sense. So you're just going to end up with nothing.
Okay, I just realized that I, too, am a bomb-sniffing dog for uninteresting topics. I saw everyone check out on this conversation. That me and David are excited to talk about this.
I'm like, geez, let's talk about the tariffs again.
What the hell's the AFs?
I'll remove myself.
All right.
I mean, I know what he's talking about, but who says that? AFs.
David,
That's what you have to call them, Chris. If you
don't
look at
actually.
box scores, well, that's what MLB sends out a book every year of how teams are referred to, nicknames, a pronunciation guide. And this year, we were all told that it's the AFs. And if you look at box scores, it'll say ATH instead of A's or OAK or
Well,
SAC.
Well, if you want to see the AFs play, or the Marlins, or any baseball team, go to Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code DAN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
All right, David.
Game time.
Thank you, David.
You're
There's
welcome, Chris.
a couple other topics that I'm going to throw out to you. I'll give you a choice, and we're going to do our best to find the interesting in both of these topics. So Ja Morant's gun gesture, and the league is currently investigating that, or we could talk about the Saudi Arabian Sovereign Wealth Fund, their involvement or their deeper and deeper involvement in global sports, and how we at one point were all up in arms and we're crazy about Live Golf, and now you look up and they have 340 plus global sponsorships. They're going to be hosting the World Cup in 2034, and it seems like they're going to start entering more and more. They've been in soccer teams in Europe, and they're going to start entering the NFL through private equity funds and other sports in America. So those are your choices. Let's find the interesting, David.
You can't call it sports laundering anymore, can you? It's just sort of normal. Saudi Arabia won. They tried to make it so that the conversation was not about the way they treat people and the human misogyny and death and murder. So instead, they just keep investing money, and then it becomes normal. And they knew it, and we fell right into it. And the Live Golf is such a great example. When Live Golf started, Greg Norman was the CEO. It was going to be this behemoth. They signed all these players, gave them all this guaranteed money. And now Brooks Koepka comes out and says, man, I thought we'd be further along. I thought this would be better. And then the new CEO comes out and says, I don't know what anyone's talking about. We're doing great. We don't need the PGA because we've got Saudi money and we've got the world. We don't have the U.S., but the U.S., that's like FIFA saying, man, I wish the U.S. were better. They don't really need it.
But no one's watching it, though. Like, it feels like just because they have the Saudi-backed money, it has not necessarily been a success. And it's an odd situation where it also, at one point, doesn't feel like it's a success. But also, the people who stood up against it don't feel like they are benefiting. It's weird in that, like Rory McIlroy doesn't feel like the champion that we thought he was going to be when he decided not to do it. And the golfers who went along with them seem to be surviving just fine. There's no backlash from it. it's weird to think that if you think of it in three different parties as the group that wanted them out and players, the group that wanted to be with them and live themselves, feels like the only team or the only group that's actually succeeding is the guys who we kind of characterize as selling out a bit and like helping the sports washing, right?
I think it's even beyond that. Bryson DeChambeau, you could argue, is now the most popular golfer in the world. Period. And there's rumors that he would even leave LIV and go back because he's basically made a pot from it. His public perception, he had zero social cost. He had a social benefit from reinventing himself on YouTube and not being on the PGA Tour every week.
And I think you have to realize, Dominique, that was a pretty nationalistic point of view, because LIV would tell you there's a lot of people watching LIV. They're just not in the U.S. But they have major broadcast deals around the world. Yeah, it's bad time in the U.S. when you're in Australia or when you're in Singapore, but not when you're in Australia and Singapore. So I think that when they look at their media revenue, their non-U.S. revenue, it's damn good.
Yeah, well, I'm giving an American point of view because
yes,
last time I checked, I mean, I don't know, this might change. I'm American. I'm in America. This is what I care about. We are bringing in Jason Goff to support me now because we had to kick Amin out because he was siding with David on these boring topics. But
I want to explore David's damp bottom some more. I probably shouldn't have said that sentence as the beginning, the introduction to today's.
Internet lives forever.
Exactly.
Clip it. So, David, I do have a question about how you or the league would handle this Ja Morant gun gesture thing. It's like I understand how important it all is, or how important the way that the league presents itself is, but it does feel odd. I don't know if odd is the right word, that we're calling this an investigation. Like, what are we doing? It's either get a man a fine or move on. Like, I don't quite understand it.
Yeah, I want to be careful here, and I want to get this right. Is that so? And this is, I'm happy to admit what I am, which is middle-aged and white. Is what he did an expression that is commonly associated with guns, or is it a celebratory thing that you do when you score or do something right that's actually not sort of a gun salute type thing? I don't know the answer, and I assume that's what the investigation is. And are other players doing it too?
Well, we're old, David.
Yeah,
and
all three of us.
And Dominique. So what we see now more so is when people are taking pictures, young people especially, some of them like to make the handgun gesture and, let you know that, I keep it loaded, even though no one is shooting anyone with handgun gestures. I don't, the problem I have with it is, who has Ja Morant seen this work for? Right? Like after a while, you gotta study the behavior and think, oh, I've seen this work for Jordan. I've seen this work for LeBron. And even if you don't want to be those people, look at Isaiah Ryder's career. Like, look at certain careers where you're like, maybe I want to stay away from this. And if his goal is to make as little money off the court as possible, then knock yourself out, player. But I don't get it. I got an 8-year-old son. I try to teach him certain things. I'm sure Ja Morant's dad has tried to teach him certain things. But once a guy gets this position and has been emboldened by as much money and also the talent that he carries and the impact that he has on that city, you just got to hope he grows out of certain things. But the gun gesture thing, probably never. I mean, I remember when Chris Webber was doing the throat slash and people were upset with that. So I don't know how this is ever going to work out in his favor, except for the people who are telling him it looks cool on the outside.
The funny thing is, like, I'm hesitant. Obviously, there's plenty of people to talk about how ridiculous it is. Does clearly seem like it's like assault rifle gun gesture. Like, I understand. I appreciate, David, you acknowledging that you may not be sure, but it feels like it falls specifically in that category. But I also think about Ja Morant, and I think Zion falls in this category also, and Anthony Edwards falls in this category. I complain often about the early professionalization of youth sports and how we get kind of all these athletes who are trained to be boring,
robots,
and uninteresting, and they play that way and they act that way. And Ja Morant's not one of those guys. And so, like, I appreciate that Ja Morant skyrocketed in his popularity because of the way they played, and not because of the gun stuff, but because he was interesting. And I like that, but sometimes what comes along with that is he hasn't been polished. He's a rougher rock that hasn't been through this AAU, this Nike circuit that 12-year-old talented basketball players have gone through, which is how you end up with a player like Jason Tatum, who plays incredibly well and says nothing that I care about.
Yeah, but there's people who have come from rough backgrounds who get out of that and then realize, you know what? Not only do I not want to go back, I don't want to even, like, for instance, Isaiah Thomas. You know where Isaiah Thomas is from?
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Isaiah Thomas.
The original.
For whatever, the original Isaiah Thomas. For whatever reason, you make it to Detroit, you make it to the University of Indiana, and you say, you know what? This is what I'm going to focus on. Basketball is key. And then you run into the bad boy image and all this other stuff. But at some point, you know, like with LaMelo Ball, like Ja Morant, like Zion Williamson, extremely gifted, talented dudes, but at what point do you say to yourself, this is hindering the progress of whatever I'm trying to accomplish? Because, you know, in the end, you can't have it as a league. There's certain things you just can't have. And on top of it, especially in this league, where the little hint of violence might sway certain people who have marketing dollars.
So who's in Ja's ear, would you say? Is it his agent, his parents, his sponsors, his friends, his family? And the question is, are they in his ear from a business standpoint saying, hey, be you, be unapologetically you, it's not going to cost you $1? Or are they saying, listen here, you have an opportunity to really have a problem, because he already lost out on the full max deal that he could get because of the issues he had. So is someone actually helping him? That's what the agent is supposed to be for.
I'm not sure that anyone's in his ear at this point. Like, it feels like the people believe that he ran the coach out. Like, he has all the power that he needs in an organization right now. And I think that to push back on something that you said a little bit ago, I don't even necessarily think that it has to do with where the player came from as much as these things are kind of pop culture things that are gestures. Like, you'll see guys hit a three and shoot the three guns where it doesn't matter where they come from. I think that's the question, and how close the NBA wants to be aligned to those things. Obviously, they don't. Whether they want to be
well, they don't want the players to be aligned with it, but obviously where people that invest in the NBA put their money seems to not really matter what they support.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I guess I don't know. The thing that jumped out to me about this is that they're doing an investigation. I don't think you need an investigation.
No.
What's the fine for doing gun gestures? Get that man the fine. Unless you plan on suspending him because of his history, this feels odd to me.
I think this was also something that came up at the NFL meetings this week in regards to, like, gun gesture celebrations and things like that. Like, it's something that got flagged a lot last year in college football and in the NFL, and something that, like, all of the leagues seem that they're trying to crack down on right now. So it's not just happening with
when 75%
Ja
of the participants are playing Call of Duty, especially on a day like today when Verdansk has dropped back in our lives. I mean, you know, there's a relationship that is weird there, where, you know, you remember when Kobe was a part of the Call of Duty commercials back in the day? Like, there's this, hey, this is the culture, this is what we breed in this country in terms of loving guns and making sure that your rights aren't being infringed upon. Just don't do it where a little white kid sitting courtside might be influenced by it. You know what I mean?
I can't wait to the game tonight because Ja's in town. We should get tickets. Go see Ja. Go see Ja and play the Heat, right?
Yeah, with Kyle Anderson, who's plus 47 over his last 4 games.
There we go.
Dominique, go on Game Time.
Can you say that again for me?
Go on Game Time. You can get tickets right now.
Ooh, that's Urban Sampson right there. I like it. I like it.
Oh, my gosh. All right, David, before I let you go, is there anything you want us to know before you go? You want to throw out a plug for your show? Tell us how clean or dirty your bottom is, whatever the things are that you like to say.
Well, I've got a good schwitz going because I'm drinking tea right now, so it will require a post-show cleanse. But I will say that I appreciate you helping and having me and paying attention to nothing personal. But I leave you with this.
Okay, leave it.
The Dodgers are 8-0. The Braves are 0-7. The likelihood that either one of them will win or lose 116 games continues to be low. Likely never to happen. Therefore, when you're feeling so good about something and conversely you're feeling so bad about something, just know that feeling is what gives you the frame of reference when things get better.
Words to live on. I love it.
See you, David.
Way to
Thank
go,
you, buddy.
David.
See ya.
I'm not, hey, I needed that this morning.
Did you?
100%.
I did.
I needed it.
I didn't quite get it. Like, what I was trying to do was like, let's get excited. And Dave was like, hey, you know what?
Yeah,
don't be happy.
Don't
be happy. It's dark out there. Like, what I need, like, if I
time
were
from a passage from David's Red Book.
I was saying, like, look, I'm not a big baseball guy, but Shohei got my attention.
Of course.
The Dodgers may be chasing 116. That'll get my attention. I care about it. The guy who we bring on this show who's supposed to be the big baseball guy is like, you know what? That's never going to happen. They're not going to win 116 games. And they lined up for the Shohei bobbleheads. What trash is it? That's not what I was looking for.
He's a realist. You want pie in the sky. You want all things, seashells and balloons. It's not like that. And the moment that you get out of that world and get back into the reality of David Sampson and the great people here at the Dan Le Batard Show,
you're such a sweetheart, man.
I'm just being honest.
I said, we're looking at the greatest team of all time.
We're not,
and he
though.
said, don't get too happy.
Calm yourself down.
We
He
quite
tried to let
possibly
you know
are.
you don't know this sport the way he does.
We quite possibly
He
are.
ushered you in. He is your baseball Sherpa taking you to that mountaintop, and you're flailing, wanting bobbleheads and toys and all the the accoutrement. That's not what goes.
I like
with
accoutrement.
Sometimes.
Oh,
Sometimes.
now that you're here and Amin's gone. He tried to
Show's
roast.
a lot more handsome.
It is, dude. It got handsome.
A lot more handsome.
It got
to be honest
handsome.
with you.
We have to have you.
BMI has changed on the show a little bit, but show's a lot more handsome.
We got to get Amin in here with you and Roy. We got to set a new record.
wait a minute.
Yesterday we set the record. We had an all-black main room.
Roy missed the blackest show in show history.
But Roy wasn't here.
I'm here now.
He gave you a little something at the end there, too, a little baritone.
A little bass in my voice. Should have been my chest.
The first episode of the Black McAfee show here. Who's going to wear the tank top?
I'm here now. Oh, man, I volunteer.
Let's pull off a mullet. You can pull off a mullet, Roy?
I'm in.
I've been following Roy
I guess
forever.
I'll leave.
No. We need you, Jess.
No.
You make things,
Better.
palatable.
Oh
on
yeah,
this show.
balanced
Exactly.
for sure. I actually looked up yesterday. We were talking about Denny's because you and I both had not been to many Denny's. No Denny's in the city of Chicago,
That's why.
but a few in Chicagoland. You were right.
Well, I try to stay away from the suburbs. I try to. I'm a little.
I've never had a moons over my hammy.
Well, Cody mentioned it, and I was like, uh-oh. There's another thing on this show that I don't know the reference to.
Damn good sandwich.
It's just a ham sandwich.
It's like a egg and cheese and ham. It's like their version of a ham, egg, and cheese sandwich.
I can
called
go
Moons
to
Over My Hammy.
anywhere in Pilsen. I can go to anywhere in Humboldt Park, the areas that are close to me, and get an actual one with less, more quality control than Denny's. Shout out to Denny's. I don't know if they're a sponsor, so I don't want to go
Man,
crazy.
You're good.
This is a two Americas thing. I thought everyone knew about the Moons Over My Hammy.
I've never heard of it.
This is crazy.
So
to me.
is
it
Denny's
Denny's
like
sandwich?
an after party kind
I haven't
of
been.
vibe?
Yeah, Denny's is like 2 a.m. back in the day.
Oh yeah, we got greasy spoons. You know what I mean? And you can't
That's where
get
Amin is
shot at
now.
a Denny's. I like to go somewhere where there's a little bit of danger.
I would go to IHOP, but not Denny's.
Yeah, IHOP. Yeah.
Yeah, I have been to IHOP.
Last time I was at IHOP, I was a kid, and then we dined in ditch, unfortunately.
Wow.
Yeah, which is always the uncomfortable, like who's going to be the last person at the seat kind of vibe.
I think enough time's passed. I think you're good.
Yeah, statute of limitations. They
You
come
know,
get me down here.
IHOP
man.
puts pancake batter in their omelets to make them like fluffier.
Yo,
the front door.
Jess, this is the oracle. Like there's information that I get from Jess that I didn't know I needed. Cody, Jess, you got Bam Adebayo stats back there for Jeremy. So
And what's my name?
You don't need.
He just said it.
You tried real hard. Tried real hard.
No, he
You
was
were just
he was
hesitation.
looking
I
for
knew the pause.
Bam.
That pause
He
was
looking
the
for-
same
this
as
is insecurity.
that pause was the same.
No.
When people read me right, they read me right.
I got it. It's
so,
all right.
So what I usually do,
He was so smooth on everything else,
found
and
it.
I knew it. The hesitation. It was
But
the
what
same
I-
as
what I
night guy when
usually
you were
do
trying
is-
not to say drinker.
I try to whisper the words that I don't know or don't know how to pronounce or names that I don't know.
My
so
guy,
I was going to go with
Bam
Jackie.
Adebayo.
Yeah, I was going to go with Jackie. I was going to go
Jackie.
real
Oh,
small.
yeah.
You know what I mean? You look like a Jackie.
You give Jackie.
Jackie?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, you go outside. Hey, that's my man Jackie.
That's fly.
It's just
That's
the
a fly
jacket.
name. No, it's a fly name.
I'll take Jackie.
Yeah,
Yeah, he looks like he's always got some mid on him. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm down.
Jackie with the mid.
Jackie with the mid.
Yeah, you look like Jackie with the mid.
He's got his nice overshirt on. You know what I mean? I like the
He's a
vibe.
shacket, bro. Right.
For sure. Shacket, bro, for sure.
Oh, that's what it's called. I thought it was an overshirt.
Nah, it's
See?
a shacket.
Jess, where were you when I needed your guidance just
I'm
now?
sorry.
But-
I was gonna say Jeremy's thing now is that Dan started to rebrand.
Whose thing?
Jeremy's.
Who's that?
Jackie with
This
the
is
mid?
this is Jeremy.
Yeah, that's
Oh, I thought you were talking
Cachet.
about Jackie.
Okay.
Jackie. So Dan
Jackie
like
with the
rebranded
mid.
himself maybe like a year ago and started
yeah, I remember
wearing
that.
Overshirts?
more like business
What I wear.
casual, and now they dress like identically.
Oh, he stole your style.
Yeah,
is
he
what
did
you're saying,
completely.
Jamie.
A lot
so
of
like the
whoever
shacket
his
thing is a
stylist
Dan
is.
thing too.
A lot of olive green.
But I
Lot of
have
green.
to
Go wrong.
I have
Don't
to
go wrong.
approve the new Dan style. Because, I mean, if you're copying Jeremy, you're doing all right. Jeremy dresses well for around here. Like,
For around here. No, that's the accurate
bar
way.
is
What is that
very
supposed to mean?
low.
The bar's low, but I'll
no,
take
no,
it.
no. It means, I don't need to hide. It means exactly what I said it was.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
Y'all,
Around here.
y'all dress like 90s cartoon characters. It's like a kid, like we at recess. Everybody dressed like they at
Hey
recess.
Arnold.
Yeah, that's it. Y'all dress like a bunch of Hey Arnolds, which is fine.
It's true. They have like uniforms. Like
Yeah.
Chris wears the
Exactly,
same shorts
right.
and the same
Seven
shirt every
shirts.
single day.
Yeah, and
I think we're going to stumble on an HR problem here soon,
Nah,
to be
nah,
honest
and
with you.
and I
We
want
don't have
what
that.
is
Don't
that?
worry.
You're right. My bad.
Jess coming here looking looking nice and
like-
put together
like
like
$1
she
million bucks.
like
Good
she's
catch
going to
there.
a
Good
job.
catch there, Dominique.
Yeah, that was
What's
kind
the
of like
catch?
the
Keep
Jeremy
saving a
name
few.
just now. Yeah.
I was gonna say fly, but then I was like,
Like I said,
I
you
just
gotta
want
be
to say
careful.
nice. She's professional. She look like she's
there's
going to
different
work.
pressure on women
Yeah,
than there
obviously.
are on men when in front of a camera, behind a microphone.
Being a
I
dude's
saw
great.
you guys getting touched up with makeup. I didn't
yeah.
know that. I come in here with
you
wearing
shining.
all my stress.
Well,
You
I've
know
gone
what I
a
mean?
long way. The first time I came down here, the lighting in this room wasn't for us.
It's still not for us.
However,
What is it? Interrogation lighting? What do you mean by that?
it was. They didn't need. It wasn't as bright. And so
The
then
opposite of that.
Yeah. Then I sat down and was like, damn.
It was a sexier vibe in here. It was like low.
No, it was Dan and Stu. So
So it
their
was a sexier
skin,
vibe
if you
in here.
turn, absolutely not. So if you turn the light up too high, their skin doesn't look
Little
great.
translucent.
So then I come sit down and I'm like, this just eyes and teeth. What y'all doing? Give your man some light.
I get it.
Yeah,
Okay.
the lighting
I
was
got
bad,
you. I
but
got
so
you.
I'm sorry that I didn't get you on the makeup, but at least I got your proper lighting.
I appreciate
Speaking of attire, though,
that.
what?
Are you gonna come after my shirt?
I'm not coming after your
Okay.
shirt.
Okay.
I'm
Eyes
just-
and
I've
teeth.
found that every shirt that I've worn over the last couple of days has gotten, some kind of either
Commentary?
acclaim or exactly, commentary.
They all look great, but you got a vibe. You're the crochet king. You are the crochet king of Miami.
Knitwear.
Every shirt you worn down here.
But Dominique,
is
when you live in
hand
Chicago,
knit.
you have a week in Miami. You're bringing every button-down crochet short sleeve shirt you own.
Jess,
That-
I got 2 outfit changes for every day down here. Okay?
I understand you.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna come and hang out with
He
new
hasn't
company.
seen the sun in 6 months, Dominique. All right.
Exactly, and that's just because I was locked up. You know what I mean? Like that's the only reason. No, thank you, Jess. Like, can I have Jess be with me wherever I go
for
from here
sure.
on out?
The
I leave
knitwear.
tomorrow morning, Jess. Come on.
I bet that those crochet shirts was in the back of your closet, got shocked. They're like, oh, what are you doing? Unhand me, sir.
So I will be honest with you. They still had the cleaners tags on because I cleaned them at the end of the summer. I put them up. I put them in the
Right.
the Ziploc bags, storage or whatever. And then I just I'm going down to Miami to hang out with the peeps. I can't come down here in my down coat and in my Canada Goose expedition 30-pound sleeping bag that I have to wear every single day while I'm up in Chicago. No,
You
it
mean
was
that-
36 degrees when I left home.
You didn't want to come to work in athletic shirt and a baseball hat? That wasn't what you wanted to do?
What's up?
Right now, that's probably not where I'm at in life. You know what I mean? That's not, I didn't work hard. My parents didn't come to this country to see me, dressed like a high school basketball manager.
Baseball coach, okay? High school
Baseball
baseball
coach?
coach. That's what he's going for.
You nailed
Who's
it, man.
he? I'm not talking about Cody.
Dominique throwing a
we're
lot of
not?
shade for plain shirt guy and shorts.
I was gonna say
these aren't shorts, baby. These are pants.
There's a lot of jealousy here. Dominique did not pack his own suitcase.
Oh, of course not.
And
you packed it for him, Charlie?
No, I think he wants a little bit more crochet.
Charlie want that credit, right? We're like,
Yeah, he
hey,
does.
damn it, enough now. Enough.
I picked out good outfits for him. He looks good.
Roy.
He turns him around as soon as he walks out the hotel room. No, back in with that.
It's a totally normal outfit. Find a new slant.
We're going to the beach. Where are your trunks?
We've come a long way with Charlie's attire. Because Charlie used to, when he first became the co-host of my show, he was just a producer at first and then became the co-host. And he kept dressing like a producer. And I was like, man, show the audience some respect. Show the audience some respect.
Collars are for dogs.
He would say things like collars are for dogs.
That's crazy. I have something like, well, not similar to that, but something that I tell my son, like belts are for winners.
There we
you
go.
see people
There
who
you
walk
go.
around without belts. I'm like, we're not having that. We're not having that. Put on a belt or get fat enough that your clothes sit on your hips the way
Right.
mine do. I don't have to bring a belt. You know what I mean?
I've never, that belts is for winners reminded me, like I've never met Charlie's dad, but I love him. Because he tells me the things that his dad says. What was the thing about the marathon runner that your dad uses all the time?
You can always pick up the pace.
Yeah.
The story of Bill Rogers of the 1980 Boston Marathon where he ran the last 5 miles like 4:30 pace. Anytime I'm dragging ass, Bill Rogers, you can always pick up the pace, has just yelled at me.
That's awesome, man.
Nothing like a dad not allowing for vulnerability and comfort. You know?
Hey,
That's how we
you're right.
forge
You
good
can always-
men in this world.
Let me tell you this other thing, and Charlie's dad might be mad at me even though I haven't met him, that Charlie told me that I can't let go of it. Makes me so happy. Charlie, could you please? I'm going to tell it wrong,
As
so please tell
after
the story.
you booting a few ground balls.
So first of all, Charlie's dad was a good athlete. Charlie's,
and I'm not.
Charlie's older brother is
Good
a
athlete.
college tennis player. Like, they're a family of pretty good athletes. And Charlie's a younger brother, and Charlie's playing baseball, and his dad says this.
Just booting a few ground balls and he just discussed. Be an athlete one time.
Oh, wow.
Oh, damn, man.
Oh, my God. Did you hear the trauma?
It stuck with you.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Chris's
Spoiler
dad
alert,
is
I
like,
did not.
hee-haw 3.
But damn.
Hey, that's a lot better than actually making a layup on your own basket and your father walking out of the game.
Oh.
Yeah. My dad came to one game when I was in junior high, and I was so excited. And I wasn't paying attention to what was going on in the court. I'm like, why is no one guarding me? I laid the basketball up, and all of a sudden, everyone exploded, and I just saw my father get up and walk out the door.
I love dad trauma talk.
Oh, yeah.
What a morning.
It makes us the men that we are. You know, it makes us overcompensate in our parenting. It
feel
helps
like I
us
have
cry
to,
alone.
I have to add something to this because I feel left out. But
Yeah, dad trauma. Let's go around the room.
the first thing that came to my mind was probably the opposite way. So I'm 10 years old, I think, playing Pop Warner football, and I come to the sideline after the game. We're riding home, and my dad's like, "That one play, like I thought you could have cut back that way." And I looked at my dad and was like, "You're not out there." Ooh. And my dad harkens back to that story all the time, and it was like, that was the last time I tried to give you any advice on football. He was like,
Seems like it's the last time you needed it. It's nothing like when the 10-year-old runs the house now, by the way. That garbage not going to take itself out, Dad.
I did not run the house at any point, but I was the best player on the team. I think I had 3 touchdowns in that game alone, and I got in the car, and he was like, but that one play, you should have looked back inside. You're not out there, Dad.
You were like the football player that was so good you had to play like running back, wide receiver, corner.
He told us he played nose guard last night.
I only played nose guard for one game, and they never put me back at it.
They got like 8 sacks.
when you play like Pop Warner football, there's weight ranges. And so, like, obviously, if you're the same weight as me, I'm going to be a better athlete. They put me at nose guard, and the other team couldn't get a playoff because it was like, what are you going to do?
Dominique the Diva was born in that car.
It was not. That didn't happen until I got back from my first time home after college and being in a real weight program. And my dad was like, "Oh, you got little weights. You think you something, huh? Little weight? Yeah." We had to get the wall replastered because I picked his little ass up and put him into the wall. But that was it.
We were getting to the domestic.
No, it was like playful. It was playful
It was
wrestling.
playful driving into the
Yeah,
wall.
super playful.
It was.
Sometimes you just got to power bomb your
Y'all
dad.
never
like Sid
wrestled
Vicious.
before? I love my dad. He was great. He took
So
it
you
well
have mom
too.
trauma then.
You could have made that cut.
Same,
though.
honestly.
I agree,
Hey,
Cody.
Chris.
I agree.
You weren't out there, man. You wasn't out there. Northwood Rams was fast.
Chris's trauma is he saw his dad's feet one time.
Oh.
That toenail.
That's always awful.
Sticks with me.
Awful
Nightmare.
situation.
They were a
What-
feeder.
what is it with dads not wanting to ever take care of their
Wild.
feet?
It's wild.
Ever.
You tell us.
Ever.
Let's ask the dads.
No,
in the
I mean
room.
I get pedicures
I don't.
every 10 days or so.
It has inspired me. I don't. That's all. Every 10 days is not.
You're an
And that's-
inspiration.
I do like
That's a lot
I
of
do
money, man.
every couple months, but it's because I'm like I am not gonna let my feet get to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think so. I remember my dad would say anytime we make fun of his feet, it's working man's feet. It's an ego masculinity thing. How many times you get a pedicure a week, Jackie? 2-3 times a week?
Yeah, it's like every other day.
Chris is out here trying to break the cycle. He's like, I'm not gonna have my dad's toenails. I'm not gonna do it.
Hey man, stick to what you believe in. I don't see anything wrong
Oh,
with
there it is.
Oh, God.
God
so
damn it.
terrible.
A troll?
Yikes.
What is that?
That's
That's
a
fungus.
human foot,
No,
actually.
it's not. I don't believe
Get
that.
it off the screen.
It's a
It's a
velociraptor.
Lord of the Rings character.
It's like in
That kinda
Jurassic
thing.
Park, the nail that's like clapping on the floor.
You see the water trembling.
Get it off the screen.
That's
He's
tough.
deep frying a turkey there.
My God, he's
That
deep
foot-
frying his
that-
ankle is what he's doing.
That foot cannot
Good
be
veins,
connected
though.
to
Good
a
veins.
man.
Solid vein.
Good vein. Yeah. If he's ever got problems, getting an IV, you can go right to the feet right there. Strong
Scouting
veins
it.
in that. Yeah.
If you show me that picture, I would not say Greg. I would. There would be some like you mentioned. That's
Like White Shack.
whack.
The man is a legend, and he's a legend in Vegas where it's hard to be a legend. I've seen him. His face is ID to get into all the big places. And he's also, though, he's a Florida guy as well, and I think he should be a Panther fan because he grew up in Boca. So I don't know where he is, but I believe he's bigger than Wayne Newton now. He's more Vegas than Wayne Newton, and I'm not joking when I say comedy legend for 40 bleeping years. 40 bleeping years and still doing it 4 times a night in Vegas. You, Carrot Top, Mr. Top, are rooting for who in this series?
You can't say 40 bleeping years. It just doesn't sound cool. You know, you gotta say 40 years. But it's gonna be really rough. This might be the hardest decision of my life, being from Boca. I think I performed at the Sunrise Musical Theater when I was young. But my roots, I mean, I'm in Vegas. They're listening to me right now. I'm here in Las Vegas, and it's tough. I got to be honest. I think my heart is a little more for Las Vegas.
What? No!
I know.
No!
I'm here
You
every night.
sell out. You sell out.
Are you cranking it before the game?
Yeah. You mean like drugs?
No, I mean the thing where you crank it and you get everybody hyped.
Hey, are you cranking it before? Yeah, man. No,
Have you ever cranked it?
Yes, they have. That's a personal question, but yes, I have cranked it. They give me they gave me that twice. I've done it twice, and apparently Wayne Newton has beaten me by one crank. So
you gotta get.
I was watching. I was at game 2, and I was watching.
I've got to
Wayne
catch
Newton
up on crank. I got to catch up on a crank.
Wayne looks great.
Wayne looks like hell. What are you talking about? Be honest.
Come on, Karen Tom.
No.
That's not
No,
enough.
no. I love Wayne. Seriously.
Then you can't take out the legend. What's the matter with you? But you are. You are
I
more
love Wayne.
Vegas. No, you are more Vegas than him, though. You are.
I helped. No, he's Mr. Vegas. I'm Mrs. Vegas. He changed one night. We were doing a video, and it's really hot, right? I looked over, and Wayne Newton's hair was dripping. So I went over and I said, I said, I got to fix your hair. And he looked back at me, and I said, it's just drip. It was like a little black,
Oh no.
dye was dripping. So
That's not natural?
No, it's natural. It's just naturally dripping. It was naturally dripping.
Wait, I want to really.
I didn't let him sit there and drip. I thought I should probably step in.
But you have seen Hollywood melt away, vanity melt away, and so you had to laugh to yourself that symbol for Vegas excess, that his hair was dripping down his face.
Yeah, I know what to do. No one else was doing it. The makeup artist was like, I'm not touching it. I'm like, someone fix Wayne Newton's hair. So I took over the.
I mean, you don't hate the Panthers though because they keep getting
no.
No, but their fans
I love the
keep
Panthers. Love the Panthers. Great Americans. No, I love. I don't know why I'm doing my Trump impression is the worst in the world, but I just go into it when you need to.
I think it's pretty good.
Oh, is it? Is it pretty good? Yeah. Pretty good.
I was telling Sasha Michelle Malia that Carrot Top does a really good Donald Trump.
Always been a fan of you, Bob. Always been a fan.
I wish we could say the same.
Big bet. Oh, come on, we're babe. We gotta work together. Well, I love this game. It's very exciting though. Coming to 2-0. I mean, it's really this town's going crazy, as you know.
And they're getting in the way.
Florida's probably going crazy too. Oh yeah. Are they talking that already?
They have you ever been to the arena? Because it's kind of where you went to community college. It's like in the Everglades.
I was curious as to where it was because I said I lived in Florida my entire life. I don't think I've been to that area very often. When I went to Boca, I was in Boca. I guess that's not too far from there.
It's right next to Sawgrass Mills. You ever been to Sawgrass Mills?
Sawgrass Mills, man, it's been a while. But they apparently have a hockey team down there, so that's good.
This is a good show.
How do we get Gustav Forsling going?
Hey, what's up, Le Batard fans? It's Roz Goldon Woode here, and this week on Good Follow Show, we are previewing and breaking down the Women's Final Four, and we're talking about all the madness happening in the transfer portal. Plus, Alex Morgan, she had a baby. And we also have an exclusive sit-down interview with basketball legend, Hall of Famer Lisa Leslie joins us. We talk about everything from her friendship with Dawn Staley to WNBA, CBA negotiations and her thoughts on that. Plus, we reflect on the unrivaled season. It's a really nice conversation with one of the GOATs of the game. So make sure you rock out with us. We drop our show every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern on DraftKings Network and on YouTube or wherever else you get your podcasts.
All right, so Jerry Jones at it again, man. This guy is the most impressive reality TV producer in history. I used to get frustrated, and I still sometimes, one of the things that I enjoy doing is pointing out when owners and management in general drop the ball on one of the very few things that only they are responsible for, and that is like the external communication. So between the Cowboys and the Bengals right now, who are both in contract negotiation situations with top-of-the-league talents at pass rusher, at marquee positions, they both seem to be bungling the external communication part about this. The last time that someone messed this up so bad, or not even the negotiations part, but the communications part, was when the owner of the Giants kind of put all his coaches and general managers on the hot seat and making a joke, suggesting that, like, they better show me something fast. And I was like, you're putting them in a bad spot. But fast forward to now, Jerry Jones is supposedly in negotiations with Micah Parsons. He had one-on-one conversations with Micah Parsons, which Jerry Jones believes is some sort of level of, like, binding negotiations, I guess. But Micah Parsons has an agent. And rather than be quiet, is one thing you could do. Rather than do that, Jerry Jones says the agent is not a factor here or something to worry about. And I don't know his name. Like, his name is David Mulugeta, who everyone knows his name because he might be the agent. But that aside, what are you doing other than trying to get up in the morning or trying to get people to talk about it? Like, he has to be, unless he is careening towards some sort of, I don't know, mental age situation, he has to know that that's not going to sit well with Micah Parsons and it's not going to look right for him unless we're just accepting that he's like, man, how can I get them to talk about me?
Well, I think it's a guy who the only wins that Jerry Jones seemingly is going to get is in these art of the deal moments now, where you look at how he's done things in these face-to-face, give me your handshake, and that should be binding conversations. You know, I was long put in a position long ago and told by people who dealt with contracts, if anybody makes you feel funny about the money that you have earned, see it for what it is and keep it moving. Micah Parsons can't keep it moving. You know, you got to take what's on the table. But saying that David Mulugeta is not a person that you should have to even have any speaks with, any conversation with, nor acknowledging his presence. One, that is setting a precedent for all these contracts going forward. Like, oh yeah, if I'm the Rams and I'm talking to somebody who I've drafted, I don't need to talk to their agent. I don't need to bring in one of the power brokers of the game. He's not winning on the field. Any attention is good attention. I think he still operates under that premise. But the whole art of the deal and the whole negotiation and the whole, oil tycoon and businessman kind of vibe that he is trying to give off, he's still having those wins in his mind. And also, please believe when these owners get together and talk like they need to talk without the cameras around, Jerry Jones is walking around with the big stick in his head. Yeah. So he continues to go about things this way.
Within the owner's room, he still has this type of leverage. He went on to say that I'm not trying to demean him, but it isn't about an agent. I'm not demeaning the agent, which you only say if you know that what you just said was demeaning.
It's the no disrespect preface. Yeah, disrespect, but your baby's ugly. You know what I mean? Like
with all due respect. Oh, that's one of my favorite. I love it with all due respect. If you say with all due respect,
shade is coming.
Oh, I can't wait. I am hanging on to the very next phrase that you let out.
Yeah.
But I don't know. And he hasn't won these negotiations. Like, everyone, he waits to the last moment. He loses negotiations. I guess I just don't understand the point of this. The only way that
he thinks he's won some of them, though.
Does
he
he?
thought he won the Tony Romo one. And by the way, these are all the face-to-face.
Tony Romo.
We don't need
how long ago is
Tony Romo, DeMarcus Lawrence.
the
Who
recent
else?
ones. He's
Zach
taking
Martin.
L's.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though. As long as you can go back and harken back to a day that you won one of these, the next one is the one you think you're going to win. And with Micah Parsons, if you are going to give him the highest non-quarterback contract in the league anyway, you saying, I don't want to talk to your agent is just you drawing a line that's not necessary. You see it in relationships all the time where it's like, I'm going to do this, but I'm going to do it my way and on my time. And his way and his time has a little bit, there's constrictions and confinements to it that you got to get this thing going. And the more that we talk about this and the more it's public, the two sides are going to come to an agreement. It's just, how much angst do you want to put upon your organization and your fan base, and especially a player now who, you don't signing a deal that you don't feel good about, and then going to have to perform the 3 games in a row that you don't get pressures, you're going to think, damn, did I make a mistake? Was this the right thing to do? Do these people still revere and care about me? Like
signing
it's
Micah Parsons. The thing that I don't get about these Jerry Jones negotiations is signing Micah Parsons and signing Dak Prescott, signing CeeDee Lamb. Signing these guys is easy. Especially Micah Parsons right now. It's like, you know what? Add $1 onto whoever had the less deal and let's keep it moving. Unless you're trying to revolutionize this thing or you're trying to take advantage of him, I don't know what we're talking about. Like, he's that type of player that when he's up, you pay him whatever the guy is ahead of him. And I think they all accepted that he's going to be the highest paid, non-quarterback, at least on defense, out there, or maybe tie him with Myles Garrett. Either way, this is not a heavy conversation. I understand why the sentiment is maybe we don't need an agent, but why ever say that? That's what I don't understand. Is this is not making the negotiations any better. When it's Jerry Jones, sometimes I'm willing to think that the purpose for doing this is just to create a story because he knows how to create a story, but I'm not quite sure why Katie Blackburn, who runs the Bengals, would say what she said, because everything that she said seems like it makes Trey Hendrickson not want to sign with that team, and he has one more year on his deal, and Micah Parsons not up tomorrow either, so both of these guys will likely play for their team going forward, but it's as if they believe that we're in a fantasy football world where it doesn't matter how you interact with your star players, where it doesn't matter what you say about them or whether you embarrass them. Just so you know, this is what she said. She said, I think he should be happy at a certain rates that maybe he doesn't think he'd be happy at. I think some of it is on him to be happy at some point. And if he's not, that's what holds it up sometimes. What are you talking about?
A lot of
why say it? I don't understand why.
Their situation is different, though. Cincinnati's situation is different. I think Jerry resetting the market for 3 different positions in the span of 3 or 4 years. I think he has to go back to the owners and go, hey, man, I fought. You saw how much I fought. And I know we got to sign these jerks, but I fought. With the Bengals, man, I had a chance to cover the Bengals-Rams Super Bowl. The stories that I heard about how that team still travels, how that team still eats, how that team still goes about their business, this is ingrained. Hey, listen, we don't do this. Your name is Trey Hendrickson, and we might lose with you. Yeah. We take what you can get. And this is what you can get. I think it's a different lens that the Bengals and Katie, like you mentioned just now, whose name Blackburn. Just like Jackie, I can't remember Katie Blackburn exactly. Yeah. I think they're looking at this through different lenses.
I would think that Trey Hendrickson actually has more leverage than we would think he does because of the way that this team is constructed. This team is constructed in a way where they believe that they can make a run, but they don't got nobody on defense except for him. So, if he actually decided, we looking at a Emmitt Smith situation. If he actually decides not to show up,
couple games,
but they gonna lose.
But there's the thing. Their defense was trash and they lost with him. Yeah, that's what Katie Blackburn's like, hey, man, lost and got our heads beat in with you.
But I guess, and this may be an impossible question to answer, is
I'll always love those.
Just because someone put a microphone in front of you or just because a reporter asks you a question does not mean that you have to answer it, or doesn't mean that you have to answer it honestly. I also think that these aren't curveball surprise questions. you should be ready to deliver a nothing answer that won't get talked about on the Dan Le Batard Show or Pat McAfee Show when Trey Hendrickson went on there to respond to it, or on any of the other ESPN shows. You should be able to do that or make a comment that helps you in negotiations, because what she did there, I don't think helps. Telling him you got to be happy. At some point, you just got to be happy. Maybe that's how you feel. Maybe that's right. But can't you just be like, yeah, we're working on it. We really believe he's important to us. We're going to figure it out. I don't care what it takes.
It kind of tells you what the environment is, though, of the people that you are bouncing things off of and conferring with, right? The ecosphere is different for you now. You know, now that you're removed from the situation and you can take a look at from a zoomed out perspective and you're part of the media now, we have different environments that we talk about these things. And if I'm in a boardroom and I'm sitting here like, hey, we were terrible on defense last year with this guy, and then, oh yeah, we were, and then there's another, oh yeah, we were, yeah, he should be happy about what he's getting, and then you're surrounded by, hey, you know what, good talk, let's go to lunch. Oh, by the way, on the way to lunch, a microphone gets stuck in your face. Hey, what the hell's going on with Trey? Hey, you know what, damn it, Rob in the meeting said that you should be happy about this money, and I don't care how it comes out, this is what it is. Like, we act as if like rich people and people who cut checks for rich people aren't different in their thinking. And when they become different in their thinking and verbalize it, we're like, wait a minute, did the ultra rich person or the person who has the ultra rich person's checkbook in their hand gonna be different? No. We see like a lot of these organizations have zombies walking around them, just whatever you say is fine, whatever you say is good. This is what they spit out, though.
It'd be interesting. It'd be really nice if we had someone to give us an NBA perspective, because so rarely do we get the NBA owners and general managers talking bad
Jeremy,
about
what
their
do you
players.
think?
Speaking of NBA perspectives,
I was kidding.
You know, there was perspective if you look
Shut
at
up,
the Heat
Jeremy.
game from last night. You know,
We
Jason
were- I was
Tatum,
talking
4
about
of
me.
17
Go
from
ahead,
the
me.
field, guarded by Pelle
I'll turn his
Larson,
mic
a
off.
shutdown defender.
Thank you.
Wait, before we get the basketball perspective, can we relive? You mentioned it a few minutes ago, saying no disrespect or no offense.
No shade.
We had a pretty famous incident between Dan and Jay Billis on this show where there was a no offense involved.
If someone with Tyler Hansborough's resume were black, do you think people might say he's unathletic or he's not athletic enough?
Dan, no offense, but this is stupid. I mean, all due respect. I mean, if you guys want to talk about this, I'm here to talk about whatever you want outside of this. But this is stupid.
We don't have to talk about anything, but it's not stupid. And you can't start a sentence.
It is.
Jay, you can't start a sentence with no offense and then say this is stupid.
Okay, then take offense. It's stupid, and I don't want to talk about it anymore. You want to talk about something else?
No, thank you. Good talking to you.
You do.
Jay Billis of ESPN.
Yep. Now, to the younger,
I thought that was going to steer back into the direction of and we can bring up some other North Carolinian basketball player that you shouldn't care about.
Yep. And by the way, for the listeners, the younger listeners, that sound at the end was the sound of a phone hanging up. See, back in the day, it wasn't like a touch screen and you just said end call. You had to physically pick the receiver and clang it down on this cradle, and it would create this sound that everyone understood as that's the sound of getting hung up on.
No, you know what we
Jay
call
Billis
that?
of ESPN.
We call that a landline.
A landline.
I miss banging the phone.
Oh,
so
my God.
much.
You angrily ending a call?
ESPN.
The
ESPN.
ultimate form of disrespect.
ESPN.
Communication-wise.
ESPN.
Oh, it's a subtle one too. It's like a drop on the line. Yeah, it wasn't a bang. It was like, you know what? I'm done with this pity conversation.
ESPN.
That's nasty.
Jay Billis, man.
Cowboy. Don't play around with
no
Jay.
games around here.
Don't play. Hey, all them Jeezy lyrics he recites.
I gotta go to work.
All right, let's get the basketball perspective.
Yeah, nice voice.
Let's get it.
So we were talking about contract negotiations and how it
ESPN.
blows my mind every time, and it happens fairly regularly in the NFL, where the contract negotiations are happening and the team representatives say something that I believe to be unnecessary and counterproductive and somewhat disrespectful. Right now, Jerry Jones is doing it to David Mulugeta, and Katie Blackburn is doing it to Trey Hendrickson. And I just don't I can't remember a time where it's happened recently in the NBA where they just are straight up like, he gonna be happy with this deal. But I guess in part because those contracts are already kind of predetermined, where it's like either you're gonna get a max deal or you're not.
Yeah, the negotiation in the NBA happens for the middle class people. If you are a certain caliber player, we don't have to guess what you're worth. We know what you're worth immediately by the number of years you've played in the league, basically. It's a fixed number. It is a percentage of what the salary cap is. And so that takes a lot of the guesswork which would be really interesting conversation, which is in an uncapped, not unsalary cap, but unmaximum cap society.
It'd be a better world.
What is Steph Curry worth?
Right.
70 million? 80 million? 90 million? There is a legitimate conversation about Steph, LeBron, Giannis, Jokic. Like, these guys, whatever you're paying them is probably still not going to be enough. And at some point, then it comes into, which I imagine in the NFL is a lot of the conversation, like, I want to pay you this, but also I want to also be able to field the team. And that's what the team salary cap does, is it makes it harder for that distribution of money. Now, in the NFL, I think they do a better job of giving the money to the people who impact winning the most. For us, we are limited, and we take that extra money and we make multimillionaires out of guys who are fairly replaceable on that level.
I've always wondered this is, I think you could make up a couple different scenarios, but maybe you have a better projection than me. What would it look like if you removed the max salary? What would happen? Because I think my desire is to remove the max salary because it generally feels like an unnecessary restriction. But I also am willing to accept that there's a possibility that you could end up in a world where there are a lot of teams or a number of the very best players don't find themselves in the most consequential games at the end of the year because they're on teams that have given so much of their salary to them. And then there are these other teams that are made up of a lot of really good players that end up finding their way to the championship, which would be a result that we wouldn't want.
But ultimately, if it happens, what's going to happen to that team is someone's going to be like, I deserve more money, man. And once that happens, it throws everything off. It's funny, as a player advocate, you should want the max salary because it helps more players than not having a max salary, which helps a handful of players. But what would happen is, take the Lakers, for example. LeBron is, I think, like, it's whatever LeBron agrees to. Yeah. But if he was like, I don't want to leave $1 on the table, he could easily say $90 to $100 million a year. Mm-hmm. And Luka could probably say 70 to 80. So now with two players, you're over both aprons. Basically, everybody else. Austin Reeves, he's making minimum, right? Rui Hachimura, he's making minimum. All these other Dorian Finney-Smith.
Wouldn't you have to get rid of the salary cap period?
No, because the whole point would be like, y'all want to be paid what you're worth for real? Okay. It's going to be one of y'all per team, though. Like, that whole, I'm going to team up with him and him, it gets deaded. Or either it gets deaded or someone says, I'm willing to leave money on the table. And that's a big, like, everyone loves to be teammates and homies until, like, I got to leave money on the table. And it's not necessarily that,
can't eat these championships.
Yeah. And it's not even about, like, I'm making 60 versus 80 million. About, like, what can I do with 80 that I couldn't do with 60, right? It's not about that. It's about I'm making 60 or 30 or whatever, and that guy makes it. And then the moment he messes up, I'm like, and y'all gave the money to him?
See, and that's where I would enjoy it more, to be honest with you, because I like as much scrutiny as we give players across every platform in every sport. Like, to me, the architects of these teams don't get called into question as much as they should. Let's find out who the real talent evaluators are. Let's find out who the guys who are paying $12 million to a guy who's probably worth $35, $40 million because they found a diamond in the rough or they found a good fit. Like, I'd be fine with that across the board. Like, that's the more American way to do things.
Well, that's the other part of this, right? The other
salary cap altogether
is I don't mind it. I think it's good. If you are,
would you say it's ruined baseball?
Not having a salary cap? I think, there are teams that know instantly on April 1st, hey, we're not, it ain't us. Every year.
Baseball ruined baseball, but I think that
David Sampson.
Pitch clock coming up soon.
Although I am very excited about Shohei Ohtani and the 8-0 Dodgers right now.
But not pitch clock.
And I'm even more excited about pitch clock with my man Jackie with the mid.
Jackie with the mid. I'm sorry, Jackie.
No, it's great.
You know what's funny about baseball is that Shohei is finally someone that, like, I think is a star that transcends. I've told this story before. I went to a White Sox game, right? And they were playing. Yeah, it rained that day. It was a bad day in Chicago, as all my days in Chicago are. But they played the Blue Jays, and this is when the Blue Jays had, like, I don't know if it's still the case, but they had all these guys who were like the sons of like famous baseball players.
Vlad Guerrero Jr.
So work hard.
Yeah.
So they were like
Dante Bichette.
The Vlad Guerrero Jr. Man, oh my God, I'm like, let's go. I remember Vlad Guerrero. Like, so I remember. I was like, cool. I'm excited, and I went to the game, and like he got walked twice, and like he fouled out or whatever.
Had a good eye.
And then, like defensively, he didn't do shit because the ball never came to his way. And I said, how do you have a sport where you have a player, like if I go to an NBA game and I say, I'm going to a LeBron game, I'm going to see some LeBron-ass shit. Like, oh my God, if I go to a Chiefs game, I'm going to see Mahomes do some crazy shit. Baseball is the only sport, even soccer. I'm going to go to a Inter Miami game, I'm going to see Messi do some shit if he's playing. But when it comes to baseball, it's the only sport where like I can legitimately go and watch a 3-game series, and the best player perhaps of all time in Mike Trout doesn't do shit. Not because it's his fault.
I just had this experience. The Angels were in town. I took my son to his second baseball game for all time.
Yep.
Right. I sat pretty much in the batter's box for $115. Ron Washington is like 6 feet away from me. Yeah, Mike, always gonna be my man, Ron Washington. Denied.
It's the first time I tried it.
Hey, come on, man. You know?
Who among us?
Right.
Who among us hasn't been curious?
Exactly. You know, how does this smell? So I'm sitting there and Mike Trout comes up, and I tell him, like, yo, this is, like, the Mickey Mantle of our generation.
Yeah.
My son's like, okay. And
they're like 4 pitches, walk him.
Yeah. No, he gets walked, and then the rain starts, and then we go back into the concourse, and I'm like, damn, this experience really wasn't what I thought it would be. I think baseball has an issue with accentuating the dopeness in the intricacies. Like, the turning of a double play and how athletic it is, we've become, like, it's kind of what the dunk used to be for us, and then sports and everybody was like, oh, everybody dunks too much, and now we don't get any body-to-bodies. We don't accentuate certain things that should be marketed. I think that's what happens in baseball far too often, and we get these issues.
I always talk about the dopeness of the intricacies.
And basically, in anything in my life, I want that.
Dopeness?
Dopeness or
intricacies?
Yeah?
Two of the things that jumped out to me. Two of the things that jumped out to me as you were talking, Jason, was one, you tried to sell Mike Trout to your 8-year-old son by saying he's like Mickey Mantle.
Yeah.
Your son,
I was
your
trying to
8-year-old
give
son
him-
is a big Mickey Mantle guy?
I was trying to give him a frame of reference. You drop these names on them so that when they're 15, 20
No, you
years
got to compare him
old,
to a basketball player.
Yeah, you got to
He's 8.
compare him
Well,
to. He's like Lamar Jackson.
My little
the
guys,
Bob Cousy of
So my
baseball.
little guy's a gymnast. So I don't, hey, Frederick Richard from the University of Michigan. That's what
Oh,
he's
I
like.
love that guy.
Yeah, you don't even love that guy. You don't know who the
He
hell
was
he
on
is.
Team
Jess.
USA.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Thanks, Jess.
Jess got your back, man. She got
That's the
your
guy with the
back all
glasses that was
time.
on Dancing with the Stars?
No, it
That's
wasn't.
my guys.
That was the pommel horse guy.
Oh, you actually know? I thought you were being funny when you
No,
said he's
no,
on
no.
TV USA. I'm like, that's a great guess.
Thank you.
No, I actually know stuff.
There was no frame of
Sometimes.
reference. There was no frame of reference.
Do it, I dare you.
And by the way, another Chicago shot. We're gonna have to arm wrestle. I
He
know
only goes to Chicago in like February, and he's like, "This stinks."
I've been every season possible. The weather is always the same.
it's the
awful.
greatest summer city in the world. What are you talking
Absolutely not.
What are you talking about?
I went there in the summer. It was raining. It rained the whole time.
Because your sadness brought the rain. That's why.
You're bringing dark clouds over there, man.
Exactly. No pun intended. Man, what the hell is going on?
The
Speaking of dark
dopeness-
clouds, I like the vibe in here right now.
Oh, and we got Roy. I think we
Hey.
set a new record.
The blackest show ever.
Wait, later when Juju comes on.
Oh,
critical mass.
boy.
Critical mass. This is the last time I went to Chicago. I got invited to an after party.
That's a bad start.
Hold on.
It's a bad
It's a
start.
bad start. Wait till the finish. And it's like, oh, it's at the studio. I'm like, well, whose studio? Well, Rob's going to be there. Rob's going to be there. I'm like, Rob. And then I realized it's an R. Kelly. I got invited to an R. Kelly after party in the studio in Chicago. And I was like, I'm going to go home.
A lot of girls there.
I have no idea, Roy. I didn't want to find out. I like there was a what? There was a.
He just sent a pallet of Capri Suns over to the location and was like, "Hey guys, this is my."
There was a molecule of curiosity. I'm like, this is going to be the greatest story you'll ever be able to tell. And then I was like, absolutely not.
ESPN.
When that raid happens, and then it's like,
And then
like,
you're a witness in court.
witness in court. Like I'm going to be like that.
So-
That picture, like.
So the third market in the country,
Defendant.
the only thing that you had happen that was interesting is being invited to an R. Kelly after party.
Pretty much. That's the most
all the
interesting.
people that you know in the NBA, all the people that you might know in that city.
Yeah.
That's what brought its way across your
look,
agenda.
I have this argument with a lot of people in my life. A lot of people either from Chicago or love Chicago. And I'm like, I don't like it.
You
I
don't?
would.
Really?
I would. You
This
tell
is a
me
real
right
thing.
now.
We started having this argument, and then
It's
I
a
was like,
real
you know
thing.
what? We don't like you either. Don't come back.
I did not know this. All these years that I've, been
this is why you never
conversing
see.
with you.
It's why you never see me up there. I would tell you right now, if someone said, "Amin, you got to spend a month." Doesn't matter what season it is. Well, okay, let's say summertime.
Yeah, summertime.
Say a month in Chicago or a month in Milwaukee. Send me to Milwaukee.
Are you kidding me?
I love Milwaukee. I love Milwaukee.
All right,
Milwaukee's fun.
This is ridiculous.
What? I'm gonna tell you why.
You go to the Pfister Hotel and get cheese curds, and then you're done for the entire. What are you gonna do the next 29 days? Yeah,
I'm gonna tell you.
What are you talking about?
I'm gonna tell you why Milwaukee is.
Because
cool.
you're a contrarian. You're just like you're the guy who's like, hey, everybody likes this.
I cannot believe
think it's
this.
dumb.
I cannot believe this. I'm legit.
I'm
shocked
gonna tell
by
you why. Because Milwaukee, the people in Milwaukee are like, it's Milwaukee, man. Like, and I'm like, you know what? I came in trying not to like it. They're like, man, it's what we got.
They set your expectations low.
They were just cool about it. They understood their place in life. And once I was like, okay, Chicago people,
where we need to get now.
Chicago people,
this is it.
Are like, oh, this is the greatest city. Like what he just said. I'm like, man, please,
the greatest summer city in the world.
Give me LA or New York anytime.
What is
New York in the summer is.
Oh, I love it.
What is the ideal summer day in Chicago? Like when you say best summer city, like what are you doing?
Oh my God, you can go to the art museums. You
Cubs
can go
Ride your bike
Cubs
on the
games.
lake shore.
Right, you can go on a magnificent mile.
Drink
enjoy
outside.
yourselves.
It's warm, but it's not humid.
And
Chris, you wouldn't even believe what that feels like.
I'm asking. I'm just.
And
I'm
also
in the
right
middle.
now,
You
Down the
can't
middle.
fathom warmth without humidity.
And as far as food,
your
and as far as
Broward
food
brain
cities
could
are
not
concerned,
comprehend.
Broward brain is outstanding.
I'm sweating just thinking about heat.
It's also just the happiest summer city. Everyone's
God.
so happy to be outside.
Oh, this is so
drinking
much better than us. Shut up. All y'all do is compare yourselves to real cities.
People are skipping.
Real city.
Real cities.
It's a okay,
and you got an
that's
airport
crazy.
that closes.
It's the second city.
It's the third at best.
It's the second city because the first one burned down. We were strong enough to build ourselves back up.
Exactly.
That's why it's the second.
It should have burnt it down a second time.
My grandma grew up on the street where the Great Chicago Fire started.
Right? Oh,
Yeah.
well, white privilege.
But it was like 40 years later.
for her grandma.
We had to put it back together. No, seriously though, I did not know you felt this strongly about this. Hey, can we do a field trip?
Okay, so
can we do a field trip?
I'm in.
Yes.
Can you come through?
Right? Let's go. Let's go.
I mean, it's a city where it's a big city. You can do a lot of things, but it doesn't cost you $26 to get a cocktail.
It's the best
unless you go to like the
food city,
tourist
too.
places that your friends took you
Best
to.
food city.
Best food city.
Can't be better than New York.
Absolutely
food-wise.
not.
The Cubby Bear. Let's go.
Absolutely not.
You know what you guys can't do though? Go to a playing game because the Heat are going to end up hosting that 9-10 matchup, baby.
Tell him, Jackie.
All right, there it is.
Jackie with the
I'm
mid.
so
Dunked on y'all.
I'm so disappointed that you feel this way, man.
Look, we gotta do a
We
field
gotta
trip.
change. Yeah, we
I have
gotta
to do a
change this
Detroit
for you.
field trip too.
Yeah,
'cause
and I'm gonna take you to
Detroit's nice.
some actual Chicago places too, not just the places where
Not
tourists go.
Federales.
Yeah, no, never that. No,
That's where he went.
Really? You went to Federales to throw shots?
Do we have
at
video of
Bells?
you trying to throw the shot? I mean, is this what it comes back to?
Did you really do the throw the shot
The
thing?
ice shot?
Oh,
that was like the pinnacle of Chicago.
How bad was the throw?
No, I hit it.
Don't believe it.
The bell
No,
rang
not
and
a
everything.
chance. The video
did you
didn't
have some?
happen.
Did you have some deep dish pizza too?
While-
Did you have like the thing that
while
no
we're-
one eats there?
While we're
besides
going over
tourists?
on time, let me just address something Charlie in the
Look
back.
at-
Easy
look
on
at-
deep dish
look at-
pizza,
look
by
at-
the way.
Look at the production Pete over here.
Charlie,
It's a pie.
You think that my
That you're
Uber
a bad
rating,
athlete? Yes.
my Uber rating is low because you have me talking to Uber drivers? That's what you think?
No. I had you drunk in Ubers.